One of the most amazing things that I realized from mentorship and coaching is sometimes we just need to have an environment to get high-level people in the same room, to get on one page, to get on one accord, and then amazing things happen. This isn't going to be like a traditional conference. This is more of a mastermind, right? So this is going to be about you all. And so a mastermind principle is 2 or more people actively engaged in pursuit of a definite purpose with a positive mental attitude that constitutes an unbeatable force, right? To be, what that means is you need to have a purpose, right? And when you have focus in regards to that, you become an unbeatable force. And so the thing that we're trying to figure out is what's your purpose and what's your goal? And no matter what stage you are at, you always need to be redefining, right, what these things are for you at all levels. Right, what's your A to B, what coaches use? Where are you going? What are you trying to achieve? Along the road, that gets kind of messy. And so the theme of this mastermind is called retreat to attack. So we're coming here to retreat, to refresh, to regain, to refine, to reset, recommit. But the whole purpose of this is to retreat to attack. And so that's our goal. And so one of the R's for this retreat is to redefine. What are you trying to do? What is the big opportunity that you have your eyes set on? Coach Burt always talks about level 10 opportunities. What level 10 opportunities do you have your eyes on? Do you have a level 10 opportunity? If not, it's probably an opportunity to sit down and start to think about those things. See, a lot of times as high-level people, right, we get a little bit of success and we kind of miss this piece, right? So there's a saying that the biggest adversary to great is good. Because once you get good, right, you can shortcut a little bit. You don't really need to pick up the phone every single day if you got appointments coming in. You don't need to get to the office early. And once you start having success, we tend to, I wrote this down because I wanted to make sure I said this properly, is we mistake desperation for motivation. See, in the beginning, you're motivated by desperation that you had to get it. You had to make the sale. You had to make the dials. But once you got good and it started to work, right, that's the biggest adversary for grades because we don't redefine and get clarity on what our goals are, right, to resharpen those things. And this is a thing that we need to always be doing. And so the next thing we need to do is we need to reset. One of the goals for this one is we need to get a chance to learn, but also to enjoy the company of other people, have some fun, and just get around other high-level people, right? Just to be in the room. There's just something magical that happens when you get around other high-level people, relationships, business, partnerships, things that I just can't explain, right? That I'm always just trying to figure out, like, how can I get some of the best people just in the room and just watch the magic happen? So one of the things I want to challenge you all is to make some relationships today and tomorrow, however long you're going to be here. Connect with some people, but really connect. Number 3 is to refocus. Set one clear objective and map it out on exactly how you're going to achieve it. And take massive action. You know, in the beginning, you're operating from desperation that seems to be the motivation. But then once you start getting good at things, that becomes a gift and a curse. Because now you feel like everything you touch can turn to gold. So now you start wanting to build a software or CRM, or you want to do all these other things, and you get distracted sometimes from keeping the main thing the main thing. There's nothing wrong with doing those things. But again, making sure that whatever your goal is, whatever you're doing right now is aligning with that, right? And so I definitely, during this process, especially in the beginning, want you all to refocus on what your goals are, define them, and map out a clear plan of action on how you're going to execute them. And this may be the biggest one, which is recommit. recommit. I know we're all kind of at different levels, and I know I have to go through this sometimes, but who just needs to like recommit? You know, just to fall back in love with it again. Get back to the basics. Clear all the noise, all the messages, like all of this stuff, and just get back to the basics to recommit. And so I liken this to my journey of going through fitness, because it's kind of on and off. I do it, I start to see some results, right? See a little bit of a corner of an ab. Somebody say, you know, you feel a little bit better. And then you know what, the next weekend, I'm like, oh, I did good. And so then pizza, tacos, Chick-fil-A, all of those things. And I found myself that like, that was my pattern. I would like get fed up with something, right? You get fed up with it, you get pissed, you get frustrated, and you go hard. And then as soon as you start to see some results, you start taking your foot off the gas. And then that vicious cycle will happen over and over and over again, and you never get out of that pattern. And so it's good to have some of these moments here to recommit. Why are you doing this? It's a good question to ask. It's a good question to ask for everything. Why are you working out? Why are you with the person that you're with? Why are you the business partner that you have? Why are you fighting to see people every day? Why are you doing whatever you're doing? Why are you doing it? See, a lot of times we lose sight of that, which is good, because I just had my anniversary. And, you know, you go through ups and downs. Being married is a full-time thing also. It's a challenge being with someone else. And so when I watch that video, though, it reminds me. It takes me back, because I forget. You know, the children in the laundry and the clothes and all of this other stuff that you have going on. I have to refocus on what my commitment was. I'm like, oh, this is a time for me to remember what I got on, because sometimes you forget some of that stuff. It's like, yeah, I was there that day. That was a magical day. It was one of the best days of my life. And I need to refocus, right? I need to reset. I really need to refine, and I need to recommit. And so for this mastermind, this is all going to be what we're trying to do, but it's going to be based off what you guys put into it. So I have these sheets here, and what we're going to do is we're going to spend a few minutes, everybody filling these out. And two things happen. One is you get your chance to introduce yourself. So everybody participate, please. And then the second thing is to see where you are and where your goals. Now, the best thing about this mastermind is there's no egos here, right? We're all just trying to figure out what our A goal is to our B goal. And we're trying to get clear on that. And then the cool thing is, no matter what stage you're at, you'll start to notice the things that are kind of blocking people. No matter what stage you're at, it's kind of all the same, right? So that just lets us know that we're all kind of fighting the same fight. We're kind of, no matter what stage we're at, we're all trying to achieve something. And we all got something in our way that's kind of blocking us from doing it. Whether it's distractions, whether it's people on your team that are, you know, taking up all their time, whether it's you personally, where you keep getting distracted with stuff, then maybe you need to recommit, maybe you're 1 foot out, maybe you're mad at the business, whatever it is. What are the things that are blocking you, right? And then what do you want to get from this event? Ultimately, this event is going to be as well as you tell us what you want to get out of it. And based off what you say, we're going to go through those things that you say, so that you guys can feel like you got your money's worth for coming to here. And then some things that you're interested in, okay? So we're going to take 5 minutes to kind of go through this, and then we'll start going around the room.
I'm trying to find out other ways for just like life balance and how to make this more conducive to me.
Just feeling overwhelmed, and I have to pass my stuff off to other agents, and then they don't end up closing it.
I had some money in the bank, and so my why wasn't big enough. And so, you know, I just kept operating, and not paying attention to how much the expenses were, because, you know, there was just still some funds there. And now it's getting to a point where I'm like, ugh.
Spending time on things I shouldn't be spending time on, meaning non-money making activities. And I need to outsource that somehow.
Needy agents blocking. Just got a lot of needy agents. They just needy. And you guys that are builders, you know what I mean.
Just my mindset. I notice if I don't have enough appointments on my calendar, I kind of get into a little bit of a funk. So I've been in a little bit of a slump for the past month or so.
Client retention and closing more of my past leads that I'm not reaching back out to enough, I don't think.
I think I lack the desperation that I used to have that Arturo talked about. Sales skills, I've definitely realized that that's one way to increase is just continue to work on my closing.
My issue is that I work really hard, but I don't work smart. What am I doing that I'm spending more money on than I should?
A lack of discipline, just because I've noticed I don't have a lot of structure and like a system and everything, so it's hard to kind of hold myself accountable when I don't have the stuff in place that I feel like would help.
Not using social media effectively, meaning I'm scrolling and not posting.
Trying to figure out better staffing constraints with growth, how to do different time management between personal, business, agents, agencies, referral partners.
So, yeah, a couple of things that I noticed from listening to everyone. I try to find the 80-20, and I put check marks by a couple of things. And the number one thing, number two, and then number three, follow up was number three, time management and focus, right? And so I understand why everybody is here as well, because that's like, I'm more of a high performance coach. I realize that, and specialize in the leads to get you all's attention. But again, that's not the thing that's holding you all back. It's all the other things that are distracting you guys, that's keeping you from your goals. If we just simplify it to that. And so ruthlessly this morning, we're going to start talking about, we're going to identify the things that are blocking you, and we're going to talk about ways that you can eliminate those things. The way to focus is most people just try to like, oh man, I need to focus more, I need to focus on. But you need to do it in the inverse, which is you need to figure out what the distractions are, and you need to remove those. See, the opposite of distraction is focus. If you remove the distraction, it now gives you the opportunity to focus, if that makes sense. So this morning, what we're going to do is, after I tell my story, is we're going to talk about all the things that are blocking you, and we're going to mastermind and talk about the tools and things that other people have had success, so that you can start to have a game plan to knock those things. So if we get rid of those things, right, now you can focus and hit your goals. Does that make sense? I transitioned from being a life insurance agent into consulting from 2018. So I originally got licensed back in 2004, and I was working at the Hilton downtown Nashville. And young lady was one of my friends, Miriam, came in, and she had on like the lady business suit. And I just looked at how everybody looked at her, and I was like, man, I wanted people to look at me in that manner. So I was like, oh, hey, what do you do? And she kind of told me, but she kind of didn't. And she told me, yeah, well, we're having, in Belle Meade, got an office over here, across from this Kroger, I got an office, Candy McIntyre. Come to this meeting that we're having on Monday, and it's like informational, and you can learn a little bit more about it. So at that time, I went to the meeting, and they were telling me about all this money I can make, and you can sell something once and make money from it over and over again, like all these things. And obviously, it was a recruiting meeting to sell insurance at the time, and this was with AFLAC. So the funniest part of that story is Christmas Eve of 2004, I went to go and take the test. Now, I didn't study for it. I was just excited about making money. So I drove all the way to Chattanooga to take the test, and I failed the health portion of it. And so I'm like, okay. So I get back, and I think for AFLAC, you could only, the main things that they sold was the cancer policy and then the health stuff, right? So I'm like, I passed something. I'm like, can I sell something? Like, well, the main stuff you can't sell. And in Tennessee, if you fail the test, you gotta wait 30 days to take it again. And after 3 tries, right, like you're done for a year, right? Am I right on that? You can't take it for like a year or something like that. At least it used to be that way. So the only thing I could sell was life insurance at the time. So I'm like, well, I got this one piece of a license. Can I make money off of that? And so that's kind of how I got into the life insurance business in the first place. And so from there, I was still like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you know, kind of in the service industry and doing this. But it wasn't the industry that was distracting me, it was myself. I didn't have my priorities together, right? I had all these aspirations and all of these goals, right? What they say, you have a champagne taste in a beer budget. So that's what I had, which meaning that I had all these aspirations, but my work ethic was terrible, right? If I said I was gonna do something, maybe 20% of the time I held myself accountable to it. And if I gave somebody my word, maybe a little bit, so my commitment level was really low. And I didn't have structure and attention to detail. And so I was in and out of business from probably 2004 to about 2015. And at that time, I was working at the Southern, which we've been before, and I always reference that building whenever we're around it, because that place revolutionized my life and changed my life, because it gave me an opportunity to have a breath where I had a little bit of income as a server, to then start dreaming bigger. But what it did prepare me for was it allowed me to build relationships, right? I was able to connect with people on a higher level. And then the second thing is I was able to anticipate the needs of others from being able to spend that much time with thousands of people, and obviously you guys get to be around Jack whenever you need anything. That's the skill set that we gained from doing that. And so from there, the same restaurant, Jack followed me over here. And then I transitioned back into wanting to do something bigger. I knew I had this bigger goal. I was like, man, I wanted to do real estate investing. I wanted to do open up a convenience store. So I always had this entrepreneurial mind. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get back into doing insurance. Went to another meeting and got recruited in again. And I was like, I just wanted to make something for myself. But there was a problem, right? And we talked about this. Jerry's been talking about this for a while, is what problem do you solve? See, we get paid in proportion to the level of the problems that we solve. So the question is, are you solving big problems or little problems, right? Because we all have problems, right? And the difference is it just depends on how big or what level it is. If you solve a big problem, you can probably get, a big paycheck for it. And I realized that I was solving small problems, and I wanted to learn how to solve bigger problems. And the problem that I was having is I wasn't making any money as an insurance agent because I didn't have a way to generate customers and leads. And everybody I asked, the only thing they could tell me was to fight to see people. Right? You need to do more of this. But nobody could actually tell me how to do it. And so I figured out a little bit, but this one day in December of 2017, I got frustrated. And this was December the 23rd. And I just pulled out my phone and I was like, there's at least 2 billion people on this app that I use every single day that I'm not making any money off of. And I bet you that I can connect with some people on here that I know. I was like, I went to Fisk University, and right across the street is Harry Medical College. These people are either making money or they're about to make money, and they got a network. So I started looking through my friends. I'm like, if somebody's connected to this person, I wonder if I can network and connect with them to start doing appointments. Well, that worked. In 1 month, I ended up having more appointments than anybody else that was doing whatever they were doing, by like 60 appointments. I had like 93 and the second person had like 30. So I'm like, okay, I got this down. And Nate was talking about this yesterday. He's like, Arturo's the master networker, right? And so I was like, okay, I got that. But the problem now I was having is that I was able to generate appointments, but it was so manual. So I went on a search to try to find a tool. And it started out with Ulink on LinkedIn. Well, the challenge with that is there was a limitation to how many people I could do, and I had to get connected and friended in order to do that. So solved the problem, it started working, but then I couldn't scale it. So it was broken. The model was broken. So it was working, but now I was like, I got to transition into something else. And that's when I stumbled across the Facebook advertising. And once I got that to work, I was like, oh, I'm printing this. I'm like, okay. The compliance department came and sat me down in the office. It was like, hey, you can't say this. You can't use this. You got to do it this certain way. And I'm like, So I've been struggling for 9 months. I almost get in a divorce, barely broke. I'm saying that this money's about to come in. I got this policy that I'm about to write. I'm coming home to my wife and I'm excited. And then she's feeling like I'm lying to me. It's like, bro, this isn't working for me. So I had a decision. And I never forget, because even with the work that I've done, I had written up the day before $500 per month to a Nashville PD officer that was on the table, that I had signed it and it was about to commission authorize, that I had to walk away because I had two decisions. One is take my chances of going back to doing what I was doing before, right? Because I finally was going to make some money and get that commission, or I had to take a leap of faith and realize that everybody else in that room was having the same problem. And if I could get this to work and just get one customer to give me one testimonial, I'll eventually get in more customers. And so that's how I transitioned into consulting. And so, this was my cubicle in my office. This is where I sat every single day, cold calling and kind of networking. And I can remember this day like it was yesterday. Because this is in that roundabout right there in Midtown, right there. This is the Northwest Mutual office. So I'm sitting there and they just put these brand new offices in, and I'm grinding at this time. I'm just working, making dials, and they have the sensors on the wall. There's a new building, and I had to get up and go touch the sensor. And when I took this photo, I had a different mindset. I had the grinder mindset where I thought everybody else was lazy because I was the only one at the office at this time. But everybody else was at home, enjoying dinner with their families or doing other things. And I was still there trying to figure it out and working hard, right? And so this is what I did every single day. This was in the Murfreesboro office, right off of Medical Center Parkway. That was my cubicle there. So I would drive from Hendersonville, which is on the other side, get up at 4:40 every single morning, take 109 to like 24 or something like that to drive to Murfreesboro to be at this office because I wanted my mentor to see that I was dedicated to work so he could pour into me, right? And so with these numbers, we would have these client builders, and I was so embarrassed that I would sit way in the back because I didn't want anybody to call on me. And you could just see back then, even my goals were low. And I wasn't even coming close to hitting any of this stuff because this is the way I thought they needed to do it. I would have these lunch and learns. And the funny thing is, when I was an insurance agent, this is inside the Southern as well, where I was having these lunch and learns and like all of this stuff and nobody was showing up. I was spending thousands of dollars on this. And one day, yes. And one day I got stood up. I was supposed to write like 1,000 or 2,000. I like some crazy big case for me at the time. I was supposed to write a case and the person didn't show up. And I was like, you know what? I was done. It's like, I'm either going to figure this out, right? Or I need to go back to just working full time at the Southern. And that's when I had it. And that's when I figured out this system. And I wanted to see how well it was going to work. So I used the same exact conditions and it went from nobody showing up to getting a room full of folks, right? And you can see this person's paying attention intently. He's paying attention so well, he's got his mouth open, and she's so comfortable, she doesn't even got her shoes on, right? What's the difference? It's because these people were actually interested to have a conversation about insurance, right? Because see, as an insurance agent, right, we don't get burnt out in the business that way. We get tired of wasting our time chasing people, right? People wasting our time saying they're going to do something and they don't do it. We get tired of that. And that's what I was tired of. And so my whole goal with this whole process is to flip the model, to actually just have a conversation with people that are just open to having a conversation about insurance, right? Because I can tell, like, when people come into the program, you know, the first thing they say is it's just refreshing when it's like, hey, I called you about this. He's like, oh yeah, I saw that. To just have a conversation, right? You can get excited for your day. I know all the other stuff comes in, but it's completely different to when you call somebody and they hang up on you. And you've done all your mindset, worked out, listened to some Christian music, you went and ran, you did whatever you needed to do to get pumped up, and the first person you talk to is just bam, right in the face, right? Now you find the dishes to go do or to cut the grass, so you start checking emails or working on the CRM, right? So I wanted to resolve that problem to create some momentum. And that's when I cracked the code. And then in 12 months, that's when I transitioned into doing this, and that's why everybody's here. So that's kind of the backstory of how all of this developed, for sure. So I just got a question. Who feels like they have their schedule or their mindset consistently dialed in? Okay, 1, 2, okay. Who feels like they do the sprints where they have it dialed in for a week, 4 weeks, they can go on these sprints, they can go really hard, and then either just like an occurrence of something that distracts you, and then you kind of like fall off the wagon, and now you're kind of getting back on it, like you go through these cycles, right? Who's having any trouble just getting some momentum at all? They just cannot stay consistent, they're easily distracted, and they can't get things going. Doesn't sound like it? Yes, okay, perfect. So one of the things I learned from my mentor is sometimes we hear things or we say things and we don't clearly define it. It's an amazing thing, like once you define something, you get clear on it, right? And so that's kind of what I want to define today. It's like a lot of people need to focus and they need time management. So we need to define the things that are distracting you. What are they? See, once we get clear on those things, it becomes easy to just remove them, to automate them or delegate them, right? So that's what I want to talk about today. So my question for you all, and this is a group exercise so everybody participate, what's distracting you? What are the things that are keeping you from your goals? Agents. What's distracting you? What's blocking?
Follow-ups or carrier kind of stuff. Back up, yeah.
These things are holding you back. We need to figure out what they are so we can start to eliminate them. And again, I talked about this before, but just so you can understand this. So these things right here are like logs, right? And we got this fire right here, this campfire. And we're all sitting around this campfire right here, right? And this fire right here is your money or the goals or your team or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And these things, these logs right here of distraction are covering up this fire right here. And we need to take these logs, right? We need to figure out what they are, and we need to put them on this fire and we need to burn them. Does that make sense? Yep. So that's what we're doing today. So.
I think my biggest thing was fear of success, believe it or not.
Yeah, fear of success.
Because it sounds stupid, but, your whole life, you think you're going to be somebody or be, learn all these different traits and skills and everything else, and it's like you kind of like almost doubt yourself, like, am I even worthy of it?
Yeah. Some of you may not resonate this, but even like at my community, it's the opposite. We call it the legacy of poverty. Like you start to get successful and get rich, and you feel like you're leaving people behind. It's also a challenge that it's like a barrier where you don't want to kind of look. See, these guys not in the head. It's like dang. And it's very interesting, and I learned this from working with a mindset coach, that all of these things are limiting. So, see, the thing about principles in physics is every principle in physics is a microcosm of everything else. So they all work together, right? So the same principles that allow the plane to fly will also allow your business to grow or your finances to soar. They all apply in a certain way. So whether you believe in a principle or not is either working for you or against you. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to identify this principle here, which is focus. The best way to focus is to eliminate the distractions and the things that are blocking you. So that's what we're doing here. Okay, expectations. Perfect. Self-worthiness, right? Comparison. Put that here.
Or ego.
So I'll kind of give my philosophy on eliminating all of these and how I think would be a best practice and what I use. And then anybody else that has ideas, we can kind of chime on this. Again, this is a mastermind, right? So I'm here, like, you guys are the hero of your own story. I'm just here as the guide. Again, remember, we put you in the room. So you guys are all full of dough. So we all know what's best for us, right? Like, none of this is new under the sun. We're all coming together, realization that these are things that we have going on. So I'm just gonna kind of highlight the spots on things that you can do. You write those things down and start to implement those. Because see, the biggest thing that most people do, especially in the insurance business, we go to conferences, we consume a bunch of stuff, we write a bunch of stuff down, and we get back to the house, and we don't implement none of it. So, exactly. So it's commitment. So what I want to is just give people clarity on is like, eliminating like one of these can just unlock unlimited potential for you, right? Just unlocking one of these distractions. Because what happens is once you do one and you realize that one is the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, it starts to compound just like anything else. For example, all he said is he just works harder than Tim. It's like, dude, you get up. And a better look. Yeah, right. And so the point is like, pick up the phone. It's very funny, whenever Jerry gets frustrated, something's going on in his business, at the end of the day, you know what he does? Get back on the phone. Put in the work in, getting back to the basics. At the end of the day, action and activity is pretty much can equalize a lot of the things that we have. Now, it won't fix everything, but that's usually the solution to our problems, right? Is we need to get back to it. Okay, so Instagram. Is Tim the only one that has kind of an issue with the social media being a distraction for him? So for me personally, from a high performance standpoint, there's some settings in your phone that you can set it for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, that it'll automatically, like you can be scrolling on it and it'll let you know that you've kind of hit the time limit for the day. Does anybody use that besides me?
What time limit do you put on there?
I got it for 15 minutes. Yes. And so, but here's the thing. Awareness is the most powerful thing that we have, right? Perception, the way you perceive things. It's not even about putting the timer on there. It's showing you how much mindlessly you lose the dissociation with time, that you're not even aware of it, that you've been on there. So that's the thing to bring to your consciousness, how you can get lost, because it's like gambling. See, you may get out of there one time with the social media thing, but it's impossible. It's the endless feed, it's the scrolling, it's like the casino effect. It's like pulling the lever, right? Dopamine. You just end up scrolling and you get lost in time. You don't even know how long you've been on there. And what the funny thing is, you'll get mad at the time limit popping up because you were just like in the middle of a reel and you're like, damn, that's been 30 minutes. And you'll be surprised how fast 30 minutes will go, right? And so we're not even aware of how much time we're on this thing. So let's see, I don't even know where to find it, but it's on here somewhere where you can go to this thing called screen time. So all I want to know is who has never looked at their screen time ever? Just to know. Just never looked at it.
I got mad at it.
Okay, so pull your phones out. If you got an iPhone, it's on. This is the only way I know iPhones. Pull it out and just look at your screen time. Just look at it. Data doesn't lie. Open settings, and then when you open it, it's right there. Well, you got an iPhone 4, so I don't know if it's going to work for you. Yeah. Yes. But you can click the screen time, right? So when you say you don't got enough time in a day, you don't have all these things, this one says that I average 9 hours and 15 minutes.
2 hours and 2 minutes.
Right. And here's the thing. It gives you a breakdown on apps and everything. So if you want to know what your biggest enemy distraction inside your phone is, it's going to tell you right here. And the cool thing is in the settings, there's an app limit that you can set whichever one you want. See, the challenge is it isn't that we know some of these stuff. Like, it's either you know or you don't know or you don't care, right? So if you don't know, cool. Now you do. Right? And then the thing is if you see it and you still choose not to resolve it, this is the thing that's kind of holding you back. Again, it's about taking action. You see, when you put this limit on here, when you're aware of how much time is taken away from you, man, you could be doing so many other things. You could be spending time talking with your partner. You could be taking your dog for a walk, right? You could be spending more time with your kids. You could make that one phone call to a friend you were supposed to call, but you're just liking their photos. This is taking so many things away from everything. It's another reason why I like having these events, because we're all working remote so much. We get like, someone like, I don't know what the definition was, but it's kind of like Stockholm. We've gotten used to being separated and being in our own box. And now we come up with excuses not to go and do things, right? Well, it starts with the awareness of the thing, because you can limit it. So a lot of times, the addiction for this thing is like, even if it's still in the room or it's there, right? Like you can get to it. Like sometimes you got to put it in the other room. Like you ever know, like these things have us so trained that you can be in a full-blown conversation with somebody and they'll look down at it and they'll stop listening to you and do it. But that's not the most amazing one. The most amazing one is you're the person talking. You're having the conversation and you're like, yeah, man, so I just went over here and I talked to this person and
You're looking at your phone, yeah.
and you start doing that. This is a distraction, right? Attention span. So it's really like it's a muscle. It's a practice. It's like anything else. It's not like a one-time fix. It's like you're always trying. It's like weeding a garden. You're always trying to remove these distractions. Remember, who's on ladders and snakes and ladders or whatever? You're always trying to remove these trap doors, right? It's optimal efficiency. We're trying to optimize ourselves. So set a limit. Let's say, okay, I've got a 30-minute limit. It's intentionality. Everything is about intention. I'm going to post what I need to post. I'm going to map out the post I'm going to make. And then I'm going to spend 30 minutes on it. Or it's like, hey, after I'm done with work at 7 p.m., right, I'm going to go back and respond to the post that I made. See, what happens is we give ourselves an excuse to just endlessly do it all day long. And see, what happens is you're on there for 5 minutes this time. But then what happens is you see something controversial and you start reading the comments that time. And then it stirs up and then you have a conversation about it or you see it somewhere else. And then 1 hour the next time you're on here. and this thing just continues to expand. The biggest commodity, the biggest resource right now is attention. All the companies, everything is just fighting for your attention. You got to stand guard at the door of your mind. Stand guard at the door of your mind. You have to fight for your attention. See, now, my friend had told me this for my 40th birthday. See, now we're online so much, we have to fight to get off the line, to kind of just rest. We're always on. And then, especially if you're in front of these computers, it's kind of like if you drink a bunch and you hungover all the time, you just kind of get used to it. And then you try to take a couple days off and you feel good and you realize how great you feel. With these computers and things, we're always at a higher level of stress. We just don't realize it because we're always in that state. We've lulled into that state. Because look, I mean, just look at it. Got the watch, got the iPad, got the phone, right? It's all pinging to us, so it's consistently, and that's all stress on our nervous system, and it's affecting our attention, man. These things are powerful, for sure. So you can use social media for your business, but you just have to be intentional with it. And just knowing that going into these things, if you don't have something set up, you're going to lose. It's designed to be addictive, right? So, all right. So I'll go down this way, but these are all kind of the social media stuff, so I'll just kind of go through this. Comparison. The number one thief to joy is comparison. Just think about it. The moment that you compare yourself to somebody, you've already lost. You're in an inferior state. You're comparing yourself. The reason why it's not fair is because you immediately disregard everything that you have and value this thing over here. It's a very toxic behavior. And again, it's a muscle. It's an awareness that the moment that you start to compare yourself to someone, you already lost. You put yourself in an inferior state because of what he has. I stopped looking at what I have, right? There's a passage in Genesis that my mentor talks about, is that it wasn't that Adam and Eve got tricked out of their spot. They started looking at lack. They could have any and every tree in the garden, and the serpent got to them to look at the one tree they couldn't have. So instead of looking at the abundance, that all they could have, hey, you can't eat from that one. That one right there. Don't eat off of that one. But that's not even the crazy part. They had to walk past every other tree to get to this one tree. So they walked past any and everything, all the abundance that they had, all the fruit, everything, all the dominion that they had to look at the one thing that they don't have. So when you kind of get aware of this, it's like, am I doing that? Why am I worried about the one thing, the one good moment that they have, the one highlight that they have? And so the comparison, that's the thief of joy. So that's one of the things. It's like, why compare yourself? You're one of one. You're seeing highlights of their life for like a split second. You have to realize that that's not reality. See, the other thing about social media is that it suspends belief, just like watching movies. So we get into this realm. See, social media is a business, but not only is it business, it's show business. Okay? So you have to just be aware of that. And stop comparing yourself to other people. First thing I would say is just get good at something. Step your game up, work on yourself, get better at something. And the more you focus on you, the better that you get, you start worrying about that. Nobody can be you, and you can't be anybody else. So why would I spend time focusing on that? It just makes sense, right? You're uniquely and wonderfully made, and you can do anything you put your mind to, and you've been given the willpower to do it all. So why spend time wasting it on this as opposed to doing something amazing, because you're all capable of doing it, right? Nothing stopping you, nothing specifically stopping you from it. It's just that we got these distractions that we're allowing to creep in. Is that making sense? Self-worthiness, right? This is one of the things that nobody talks about a lot, right? Because we're all, want to be seen with an image, right? That we all got it together. But we all got things going on. And one of the things I just like to share with people is that your experience of all the things that you have gone through, all the pain and all of the turmoil, if you've had that, if you haven't had those things, great. But all of those experiences make you uniquely who you are. And that's what makes you an expert in the thing that you're going through. See, again, Jerry says that we're problem solvers, right? Well, what problems are you solving? You're solving your own problems. You become an expert in that, right? Evan had a problem with something. He was fed up and frustrated with it. He could have sat around and complained about it and called his upline, quit the business and done all those other things, but he decided to take ownership of the problem and come up with a solution, right? So that's what we need to do, you know, and we're worthy to accomplish and have any and everything that we want. I mean, it's in Genesis, what is it, like 128? It tells us we can have everything. I spoke a bunch on that the last time. I think the first conversation I had with you guys was like that, on that. We deserve it too, right? And so if we put the work in on the things that we want, it usually works out for us. It's kind of that way, right? Because it's supposed to. So don't compare yourselves to people, right? And in the moment that you do, be aware that, why am I comparing myself to them? What are the things that I have? And the biggest way to get out of comparison is because the brain can't do two things. Is the moment that you get into comparison or getting down on yourself or start to get into this thing of self-worthiness, of not feeling worthy, is to get into gratitude. What are other things that you do have? See, no matter what we all have going on, there's somebody that would trade places with us in a heartbeat. You may not be able to see them. They may not be in this country, but there's somebody that would take your hardships in a second, right? And the moment that we start realizing that the things that we are focusing on, because we have goals and we're driven, well, we got to look back at where we came from. We got to look back at things that, like when you were coming up, what you didn't have, what you've been fighting for. Is this resonating with anybody? I know I'm kind of going on the riff, but y'all getting this? So number one thing is you got to get back into gratitude, right? Social media kind of covered that, applying all those things. Wasted potential. Good to great, right? Covered that a little bit. Getting ready to get ready. I'm finna do this. I got all these big plans, right? One of the things that I try to do a lot now is I don't talk about something until it's getting accomplished. All right, and if y'all have followed me at any point since it's been a year, y'all can see my trajectory and journey where it's just like stuff starting to pop up. I'm intently focused on my goals and making sure that I've got a clear path. And either if I don't have the resources to do it, I'm trying to find somebody else to help me with it, or I'm trying to get around somebody that's going to help hold me accountable. See, one of the things that we kind of like with the ego part that somebody talk about is sometimes we need to get around some other people that are doing bigger things than us, but also tell you, hey man, you need to get it together, bro. You need to step it up. You've been slacking a little bit lately, right? Somebody to hold us accountable, to get in the room, and then also investing in ourselves sometimes. Sometimes you got to get out of your echo chamber and invest in some things outside of the normal things that you have going on. You know what I'm saying? And then wasted potential is like, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Period, point blank, end the story. Bond is your word is your bond. If you say you're going to do something, commit to it. And if you're one of those folks that are very nice and you always end up committing to something that you really don't want to do, you wholeheartedly end up adding a bunch of things to your plate. And so now you're stressed because you're doing things that are wasting your time that you don't really want to do. Stop doing that. And if you're like, oh, I don't like telling people, no. The easiest way I do to politely bow out of that is like, hey, I've got some things going on right now. I'd love to do it. But let me get back to you, and delay. Or you can say, I'd love to help you out with that, but I just got a ton of things going on right now. Any other time besides now, I would 100% be in it. But right now, I'm focused on the goal, and I'm really so close to reaching it that I just don't have the time right now. Hope you can understand. And the cool thing about the word no is it's a complete sentence, and you don't owe anybody an explanation at the end of the day. We want to give someone one, but at the end of the day, you really don't. See, we will inconvenience ourselves, right, at the expense of making somebody else so that they don't feel uncomfortable. And then we spend our time groveling and in pain and suffering in silence on those things. There's only so many hours in the day. Anybody over 40, when you get over 40, you start realizing how much time you got left. Time is very valuable to you. So you got to protect it, right? And you just realize how much time and potential was wasted on your youth that you could have got a bunch of things done. So with this one, if you say you're going to do something, just do it. And don't talk about it. Don't tell people what you're going to do. Excuse me. Don't tell people what you're going to do. Show them what you did. And when you live by that, I learned that from Apple. They get all the engineers in the room and they're working on projects and like, okay, we got this going on, and nobody is allowed to talk about it until some resemblance of something is already put together, some prototype. He's not his head because he knows what I'm talking about. So don't talk about what you're going to do. Show them what you did. Make sense? Good stuff. Death by 1,000 cuts. This one was probably one of the most difficult ones that I had to overcome from working from home. So everybody, I know Nate's got an office upstairs. It's huge, so he can kind of lock his doors. Anybody else got an office outside of their house that they work from? So we talked about this before. A lot of times for the guys, right, we have to have a conversation, right? We just kind of go and run off and do stuff, and we don't have a conversation, especially with the significant others. Hey, the laundry need to be taken out. Hey, this kind of broke. Can you fix this? So we run into a lot of things that aren't money-generating activities that we can do. And we just got to set boundaries for those things, right? Need to have time blocks for those, and then not allowing those things to distract you, right? So the first thing you got to do is define, what are the money-generating activities that are going to get you to the goal that you have set? What are those things? It's maybe 5 things. It might be 3. Usually it's just 1. So the first question is, am I doing something that's going to get me close to my goal, right? Delaying it or taking me in the opposite direction? And if it's doing a lot of the 2, guess what? Should you be doing that? Yes or no? No. It's very simple, right? Do I need to do this right now? And that's a good question to ask if it's your partner that's keeping you from doing stuff. Does this need to be done right now? Is this an emergency? And guess what? 98% of the things is a no. Can this wait? Just wait a little bit. I'll be happy to do it. I'm working on something right now. Can this wait? Does that make sense? So the death of 1,000 cuts. And I struggle with this a bunch with other things. Like, I hated to go to work. We talked about this at the last mastermind. Jerry had a mattress. When he was on Zoom, he had a mattress behind him. And I'm like, man, you need to make your space proud, a space that you're proud to show up to every single day. So your environment plays a bigger part and portion into productivity and time management and getting things done than we really realize, right? So you got to make sure the environment that you're in is conducive for the terms and the goals that you're trying to achieve. So if you're trying to look like a professional, you're trying to help people with money and management and all these things, and your office looks terrible, you got on a wrinkled shirt that you just pulled out of the hamper, the lighting's bad, you haven't set up your room, do you feel like a professional? No, you feel like an imposter. So, I mean, you don't have to go out and do anything crazy, but man, like clean it up, get a nice light, get a lamp. You'd be surprised what one picture would do to the wall. Right, so all these things are activation points for you getting into a state. So if you were a fighter, right, like say Derek and I were going to do an amateur boxing fight, right? And we need to get into a state. So he stays at the house with the wife and the kids, and he works out whenever he can, right? She still makes the dinners and, you know, the tacos probably. They eat those. They go out and hang out with the family on the weekends. And that's his preparation for him to get to his state. And I go and live with the dudes. I go and live at a house with all guys that's like a fight house. And we train every single day, right? I go and run and I eat healthy and I'm ready to go, right? No matter the skill set, what's the probability of me winning the fight versus Derek, right? I set myself up for success that I get into a state. So a lot of times what you do have to do is you have to set your environment to a state, right, that can put you in the mode to be as a peak performer. So cleaning up, making your office look good, because it's about being proud, right? I told the story before, but Russell Brunson had a story where his dad on a Saturday asked him to to go outside and wash the car. His dad's watching the game. He's like, hey, son, go outside and wash the car. And he's like, okay. So he goes out, he washes the car, spends about an hour and a half washing the car. And then he comes back in, his dad's still watching the game. And he's like, hey, Dad, I'm done washing the car. Can you go out here and check it out? Dad's still watching, he waits till the play's over, and he looks over at him and he goes, Russell, did you do a good job? He goes, yeah, I think so. And then he asks him, are you proud of it? Then he kind of looks puzzled and he kind of turns to the side and he thinks, and you can tell you know what the answer is, right? Usually the parents kind of already know they ask you a rhetorical question. So he says, go back out there, wash the car until you're proud, and then you're done. So, are you presenting yourself in an environment where you're proud, and are you doing the work every single day that when you get done, you made yourself proud? So, death by 1,000 cuts with improving your environment. And then the other thing is eliminating distractions. Like some of that stuff is just not important. If it's not a money generating activity, just don't do it. Delay it. And I know it may be a little bit of frustration with the partner or the spouse, or maybe if you got a little bit of OCD, you can't do it. Then you need to set a time. It's like, okay, I'm gonna spend 5 minutes doing this and then I need to get back to it. Some people can't help it, I get it. But you need to eliminate the trap doors because it's all just distracted from your attention. And then at the end of the month, you're mad about everything else, but internally, deep down, you just mad at yourself because these things wasted your time. All right? Family. So depending on what kind of situation you have, I just follow this the same way, right? Make time for family, block it out, make it intentional time, but make intentional time for your business. Right? If you have a goal and you're trying to achieve it, you need to protect this time for your business, go hard, and then intentionally have time for your family. Right? So we kind of bounce back and forth sometimes and doing this and doing that. But sometimes family don't understand what you're trying to do. See, we're all driven people, right? We got this vision in our head, and they know you just as the husband or the spouse or nephew or whatever. They're never going to not see you through that lens, right? So they don't understand it. And we're all driven people, right? We can have the most success, and the next day we can just feel like we haven't done anything. We're just driven people trying to get to the next level. So they don't understand what we're trying to achieve. But there's two schools of thoughts on this. Number one, you don't really owe anybody an explanation of why you're trying to have success. You can explain it to them, but they're still not going to get it. Now, you need to make time for the family dinners and this and that, but don't let this distract you too much. Because quite frankly, you can provide a bigger and better experience once you hit the goals that you're trying to do. And then some people, man, you know what? You just need to cut off. The toxic relationships, the people that are needy, family, friends, whatever it is, if it's not serving you, it's time to just let it go. Just put some space in between them. Delay the text, delay the phone call, delay the next occurrence that y'all gonna meet. You know these people that you pick up the phone for that you feel guilty about, you pick up the phone, but after you talk to them, you're so drained. You need to go to happy hour, you need to go to the gym, you're done for the day, you need to go on a walk. You just start cutting those people out of your life. And I know that seems very harsh, but if it's not serving you well, why would you keep doing it? Why are you allowing this to drain you, all right? We'll get to agents and carriers because I know there's some people that can speak on that. Boundaries, man. Just have the boundaries for yourself. It's an easy way to communicate that when something's not for you, you're not feeling that. When you communicate that, people respect those easily. We make up these stories in our mind or how it's gonna go, and it's like, hey, man, I know what you said thought was funny, but I don't really play like that, man. I know you were just trying to be funny, but that's just not my thing. I just don't want to communicate that way. It's not rude, but it's just a boundary, and that's like one moment that something can be awkward, but everything can be communicated in an easy way to have boundaries. And that's in going back to the family, but also in your business life. Have boundaries for when you set time for things that are outside of work. When you really start to structure your life in a specific way, you have more time for the things that you need to do, which then gives you more time for the things that you want to do on this other end in your lifestyle. The Jensen Chero says that if you give somebody 2 weeks to do something, it usually takes them 2 weeks to get it done. So if you intentionally block these things out on your calendar that this is work time, this is non-negotiable, you can usually get it done. How long does it take you to dial 300 leads? If you just like sit down, dial the phone, Elvira, just real hard. 2 hours. Why does it take people all day then? Because they got all these other things and excuses and distractions in between that. Could you do your dials, make your 3 sales, right? Do a couple appointments, make some sales. And like if your quota was 3,000 for the day, how many times you sat down and done that first part of the day and been done? So if you just blocked it out and did that, now you got the rest of the day. If you could, if you wanted to, you can go and do whatever you did. We're dragging this thing out too much. Does this resonate with anybody? For sure. I mean, we all doing it, right? So it's like one of those things. Personal health. So on this end, health is wealth, okay? Right? So to talk about the time is the most valuable asset. And we say time is money, but time is more valuable than money. Because see, you can get more money. You can figure out ways to get more money. And you can try to buy back your time when you have more money, right? But if you lose your health, they ain't coming back. Take care of yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically. See, you guys are pouring into cups every single day, all day long. So your cup's gonna run out. So you're too busy filling up all these other people's cups. And my question is who's filling up yours? Or are you filling up your own cup? And see, when you're going up and down like this in love and hate and up and down in this thing, it's because you've given so much of yourself or your energy or your mental capacity that you can have a breakdown. It's because there's nothing else to fill you up. But just like when you're on the plane, the first thing they say, in the event that something happened, we're going down, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. So we have to try to figure out a way to incorporate some time for you to have some self-care. But back to the personal and the health thing. Sitting at the desk is the new smoking. I don't know if anybody's heard that. Has anybody else heard that? So you realize you're sitting there, getting stressed, sitting in front of the computer with all of these lights and like all of this stuff. And now we're not active and we're sitting in this posture position and like all of this. We're not getting sunlight. We're getting all these weird things. Advertisement, we're getting overstimulated, like all of these things that we don't take into a factor because we don't know enough about the technology. It's moving way faster than we are. I mean, our brains are still old, right? Everything around us is advancing. We're about the same. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that's timeless, right? The 13 personalities, right? 16, that's timeless, right? All of these things are the same because we're not advancing. Everything else around us is. And so you have to be aware that you need to get some movement in. You need to get some sunlight. You need to have some fun. You need to stand up. You need to drink water, have some healthy things. Like all of this stuff is important in regards to everything. Because if you're not feeling good, you're not going to be in the right state mentally, which then you're going to make different decisions. See, one of the biggest things you have to realize is that as entrepreneurs and life insurance professionals and financial professionals, that you are decision-making athletes. You only get so many decisions to make in a day. And if you haven't built up a muscle and you haven't trained yourself, you're going to either make a bunch of good decisions or you're going to make a bunch of bad ones. There's only so many that you can make, and that's because you only have so much willpower in the day. And if you're not in a good state, right, you're not getting good sleep because you're staying up all night, you're not eating well, you're sitting at the desk, you got toxic people in your life that's draining you, you're not keeping your commitments, so now you got self-doubt because you know you're not living up to your potential. Like you got all of these things working against you. How are you going to have success? It's almost impossible, right? Fear of success. So the only question I always ask myself is, why not? Why can somebody else have it? Why can't I? What makes them so special? I mean, do I not deserve it? If I put the work in that they put in, why not? If my goal is to help people, as a byproduct of that, that's just what comes with it. So why don't I switch it instead of worrying about the success part, which is about me? Why don't I focus on trying to help everybody else get what they want? Because then that inspires me to do what I need to do, make it about them. And as a byproduct, I get a little bit of it. That's more rewarding, right? Anybody that's got a team, yeah, you can make a sale, but how much more awesome is it when your team wins, right? I've seen you post this stuff before. When someone else wins, you get to celebrate with them. So maybe we need to look at this thing a little bit different. One of our problems sometimes is we're all me. The only problems that you solve is me problems. When's the last time you served somebody? When's the last time you just done something that's out of your way to just go and serve? Just selfless, just to be of service. And you know what's crazy about that? When you do that, you're going to feel way better than anything you could have done for yourself.
And karma will kick in.
Yes. As a byproduct of it. It's funny how that works, right? So, a lot of times, I don't call this the fear of success, it's the fear of service. The only thing you're trying to do is focus on your goals and get things for yourself. Me. I got me problems and me solutions. Does that make sense? Yep. Expectations. This is setting expectations for yourself and other people. Right? So in the sales call, right, the first thing we want to do, figure out why they're on the call, and then we need to kind of let them know how this is going to go. Like the most successful people do that because they want to let them know what's going to transpire on the call. And then the first thing they want to do is ask them, right, does that make sense? Right, you want to get that objection right up front. And Jerry's going to talk about this tomorrow. But the first thing you want to do is I want to know why you're on, and then I want to explain to you, here's what's going to happen. And I'm going to ask you for this, and we're going to see if it does this, that, and that. And if it does, you'll be willing to move forward with this. Does that make sense? So the first thing we need to do is set the right expectations for myself. No matter what goes on today, I'm going to write down, I got a big 3 for tomorrow. I got a big goal. So what do I need to do tomorrow, today? I need to write this down, what I need to do tomorrow to get this thing done. Or at least take one step in the right direction. What do I need to do? And so I write this down, and under no circumstances am I done with work or answering emails or talking to anybody or responding to text messages or Slack or posting on social media until I get these things done. So now you've set right expectations for yourself to commit. And if those things are towards your goal, imagine doing that 5 days, 10 days, 14 days, 30 days. Setting the right expectations. And then with other people. We miss this so much because we're just busy. It's like setting the right expectations for team members, right? A lot of times what I like to do is if somebody texts me or email me about something in Slack, I always wait. I wait a little bit. Because 2 things are going to happen. One, they're going to figure it out themselves because everybody's got a computer in their pocket or in their hand consistently, or 3, right? And then they can ask somebody else. And the chances are, if you wait a little bit, guess what ends up happening? We talked about this last night. They end up figuring it out. Hey, you know what? If you're in the home, right, or you're with somebody and there's something like, then, okay, hit me up. Any event that you have any other questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. But here's what I want you to do first, right? I want you to check this place first. I want you to check this resource here. I've got this here. Any event that doesn't happen, then reach out to me. Who needs to have a conversation with somebody like that? That's just sucking you dry, that's reaching out to you. Setting the right expectation. And the thing is you're not paying them attention, is that like they're getting the result without becoming the person. You're robbing them from doing that. So you're stunning their growth because you need to be there. But what happens if you're not? What's going to happen? Make sense? Cool. It looks like I kind of covered all of them. We got the agents and the carriers. So who has agents under them that they'd like to share in regards to how you manage a team effectively and efficiently, communication, cadence, any of that stuff?
I mean, you guys know I'm pretty hands-off. I like the JP Morgan approach where everybody is a CEO and everybody kind of runs their own ship. So I don't like to babysit. So if they have an issue, we'll get on the phone call, and I think I was talking to you. We talked about that last night. I give everybody 5 minutes, and if they kind of, go above that threshold, I'm like, hey, I gotta go, because there's so much to do. But most of the time, you can fix whatever you need to in 5 minutes, and that's not being mean. It's actually doing them a favor. And we were taking expectations. It's clear, precise expectation. Here's what's the problem. Okay, here's where you gotta go get it. And then here's where you gotta go take care of this issue. And at that point, if they want to talk about something else that's not really relevant to the issue, I cut it short. Because a lot of times agents just want to just throw up on you about their personal lives. So you need to cut it short. But in the beginning, that was the hardest thing for me to do, is just be direct and be like, hey, so I got 5 minutes. Because I felt like I owed them something. And I've outgrown that over time.
Dope. Researching stuff for carriers, Jerry. What's your philosophy on that?
I don't care what IMO you're with or you're not with or anything. There's carriers that, dude, it doesn't matter. Just get a couple carriers and write the hell out of it. Like, pretty much all of them are approving and they're competing against each other. So I have 1 million carriers and it's the dumbest thing ever. Like, I write like 3 people like consistently, right? There's always one-offs. My whole life, the last 3 months has been about what's the problem, right? So if it's like, hey, I'm consistently running into this problem where I have a bunch of clients that, have this condition and I can't get them approved, then sure, let's do something about it and get approved with a couple carriers, not a big deal. But most people's problem is not that. Most people's problem is they can't make sales to make money to keep themselves going, so they find themselves complaining, right? Same thing with agents. Like, if you get on a call with an agent, like, okay, what's the problem? Okay, your answer rate sucks, your leads suck, your life sucks, okay, whatever. Like, I do feel like if you're building a team, you do owe them a little bit because you're making an override on them, right? So you owe them a little bit of, you owe them your time and your help, right? But like Albert said, you don't need to freaking listen to an hour and a half worth of complaining. Like, just solve the problem. So I don't really see agents as a blocker. I wasn't really here when we made the list. The biggest blocker I see that's not on there is your mental. Like, I'm kind of shocked. I'm actually glad I skipped that part, because like, we all have mental barriers and blocks, and a lot of that can simply be solved if this is right.
Right. So what about like researching stuff for carriers and looking up information and stuff like that? When are you doing that stuff?
Yeah, so I was sharing this with somebody earlier, man. So like, there's let's just say veterans, right, or carriers or whatever. We call it night school. So our Zoom is running all day, all the time. Probably running today. Somebody's on there, I'm sure. During the day, I'm dialing, especially when I had desperation. Okay, this is be real. When I was desperate, when I first started, Derek and I were the only ones on a Zoom, and we were dialing, we were freaking it out, we were calling, we didn't know crap about veterans, we didn't know, man, I barely knew the different branches, to be honest with you. So like, I was like, I don't even know what's going on here. Like, what is this? And at night, like after the kids went to bed or whatever, right, we did our husband and dad duties. I would tell my wife, hey, I can't watch the show or whatever we're watching tonight. I gotta go back to work. And that's when I went and got a PhD in everything I could in veteran services. And I did the same thing with products, right? People would ask me, how do you know about this product, these plans and all that? I'm like, man, I went to night school, right? I did it for myself. And then I got on calls with, different carriers when I had to. But I mean, if you want to be a real business owner, right? I think Solomon said it, like, they ask you, what's your company? FFL is not your company, bro. You're your own company. Right? like you're using FFL as a platform to get you there, but none of us here work for FFL or Symmetry or, World Financial, whoever, Equities. Like, we don't work for them, bro. Work for us. That's the whole beauty of this business. So take ownership of your business.
Yeah, for sure. And I looked at the carriers in a completely different way, as a blocker of time management, right? How many times we're on the phone with carriers and we're spending 15, 20 minutes more? To me, getting a virtual assistant to make those calls is a better use of your money.
Yeah, I don't even know. I haven't dialed a carrier.
So I don't dial carriers.
I was thinking with the carriers, like when I started, we talked about this last night, if I didn't know something, I would call the carrier and I would say, hey, why should I sell you guys? And tell me everything about it, right? And so I don't know everything there is to know about each carrier or my agents. I'm like, hey, I don't know, man. Call them, find out what it is. And the other thing is, adding to what what you're saying is train in groups and build a relationship individually. That way you don't have to repeat the whole thing over and over and over again.
So that's going to conclude the first session. Hopefully, again, the whole purpose of this is we want to achieve focus and clarity, right? We need to eliminate some blockers and some distractions. So hopefully this was able to give you some insight on some of the things that are distracting you and blocking you, so that we can ultimately have a ton more focus to hit our goal. Was this session helpful for you guys? Awesome. Cool.